2022. I have been your presenter, Don Ezra Francois. Thank you for joining us.
You have been listening to the lunchtime edition of news.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to those gone before us, the heroes of lands in the sun, we vow to join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing of your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, we give you an opportunity to call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, issues trending, or issues of a socio-economic nature. We express our views and opinion on any issue we're comfortable with, particularly politics. Opinions are not facts, and opinions is pregnant with prejudice and the information you have at the time. So if we get new information, we change your opinion. It's not cast in stone. We believe that we must encourage people to express themselves. We need to respect one another. We have a system in Grenada where the telecommunication network has been liberalized. And today, the 26th of October, yesterday was the 25th, was the holiday. We were not on it. We were celebrating. We had Parked Harvest. We're having a good time. But today, you can give us a call on any issues. One of the issues trending in Grenada on the ground is people involved in the debushing program. I am a little bit disappointed that this has become a big issue as it is. But as a result of that, I want to speak about it. In yesteryear, we had travel. Government had gangs that go around clearing the roadside. And they used to be on the giant truck. Over a period of time, government discontinued that practice. And they decide maybe 3 or 4 times of the year to employ people to do this work. The previous Prime Minister of Grenada then, Dr. Kit Mitchell, told the people to get up early, go and get the work done. Yes, caller, welcome. All right, we lose this caller. Go and get the work done. Get up before board wife, wash your face. So people got up 5 o'clock in the morning. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah. I think I played this program for Monday, boy, and I will listen on YouTube. I had somebody calling you, someone call you and tell me about it's concerned for to give them people a chance to know come out kind of thing. But this same man, when the chemical was having the program every time beating up and the same man enjoying that you say, well, give a little ease up, but no, he asking for ease up. So I like how they handle him. So yeah, and concerning the revolution thing, I don't feel this 19 and holiday. I don't feel the people of St. Patrick should support that. Because St. Patrick lose a lot of people during that time. Because remember, they execute 2 young men sleeping in a house. They're going to execute them in Montreat. You execute escaped prisoners in Davie. Then they execute 4 men in a car in planes. You think that too much atrocity coming along at the people of St. Patrick couldn't know that. Because when they kill this guy in the plane, them he still a guy wrong and no one of them still. What the guy? He did say that, look. The status doc on them or the day. So a lot of them things people hiding, a lot of them things happen. The people in Patrick just because I understand much about the people from that side up Moya side of the Tivoli side because I understand they go to real hell too. But I know the people of Montreat had the real hell because when they executed in the house, they made them sleep in because one of them the same guy was in the same squad. And the other so there are some people also running from the area where they knew the guys that was right in the area, but they never say nothing to the revolution. So the revolution think that they was hiding all the information to the people. So to other things, I'll say they don't want not to hear nothing about the bad side. Just say nice things. So then you have to give the whole story. That like we're going to God fear and people going to say, nah, give the whole story. Don't give half a story. I like that you should give the whole story because some people only, as you say, the section of the truth. Say nice thing, but give what happened the bad side too. So people who are growing up that don't know nothing about we learn. Because just as you talk about the people in hope, other people know. Some young masters don't know about that. So you have to give the whole story so that then you could strike a balance and then you could heal. But you can't hide in one and give all the nice story and you give all the bad story behind. They came up here.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you very much. Yes. So why the debushing program? The economic importance of it. Government decided, let us not use this group as a permanent group. And it had also to do with structural adjustment program. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, scholar.
You're discussing general issues.
Any issue, scholar.
All right, okay. My focus is on the Grand Lake issue, sir. I think you have noticed that within the last 3 months or less, the bill has gone 3 times the amount. Yeah, and it is like I don't see anybody actually paying much of attention to it, and people just paying it. You know, and I find it is ridiculous. Yeah, because most of the time it's the same stuff that you have been using. Okay, there was an excess heat, so you may have used a bit of excess unit, but it cannot climb up to 3 times the amount. Yeah, this is just ridiculous, and millions of dollars have been collected within the last 3 months. I mean, why is it like this? Yeah, it is not fair enough. What caused it? If the gas price is down, yeah? If the gas price is down, how this bill has gone so much too high? So what about if the gas prices go up? What do happen to Grenadians? I would like somebody to explain, because would you be able to buy food or only pay granite? Hello?
Yes, scholar. Yeah.
Yeah, would you be able to buy food or only pay granite? Because this is, I don't know what in what way would these people explain this? Yeah?
Yes, scholar, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. One of the challenges we're going to have with cost of living, and that's why I always encourage family members to work together, to sit down. There are a number of factors that are determining the cost of living that the government have absolutely no control on. Now, when a government in power, the opposition like to do as if everything to do with the cost of living is the government's fault. I do hope that the NNP in opposition don't behave so. There are some factors that contribute to the increasing cost of living that the government can remedy. There are steps the government could take. But we as a people have to manage our things better. 20% of the things you buy to consume spoil. Let me repeat that. 20% of the things we buy to consume spoil. And this we here is like a collective, it's not individual. Some individual only buy what they need. They buy bread, they eat the bread. They don't have no plate in the house. They want a soft drink, they drink the soft drink. So we're not speaking about it. Some of the things you buy spoil in the refrigerator. Some of it spoil because you put too much food in your plate. So you leave a lot, you throw it away. Some of it spoil because cockroach eat it and rodents contaminate it. 20% of the things that you buy to consume spoil. So you could seriously start to manage what you buy. Do I need to buy all these things? Do I need to, and if you cook food, should I not share it with somebody in the neighborhood that normally don't have food? Maybe a rummer. You drinking rum in the rum shop holy, and then he cussing the village. Sometimes when he drinking rum and he get drunk and he hungry, he cussing everybody. Maybe if you give him a piece of food, next time he go pick a breadfruit. Now, in addition to that, again, we have pre-deal larceny. And some people cry over pre-deal larceny a lot. But I say to a lot of farmers, more things are spoiling in your land because of poor harvesting practices and mongoose and rat. Let me repeat that. More crops are spoiling in the farmer's land because of mongoose, rats, and poor harvesting practice. Because of poor harvesting practice, fruits and vegetables are ripening in the land and encouraging the multiplication of rodents and rats. We could do a lot better. We could do a lot better. We could turn and eat munga, shukako, yam leaf, pumpkin leaf, potato leaf, bamboo shoot. Even the callaloo that the Trinidadians and the Jamaicans like. We do not use it much in Grenada. It's a weed in Grenada. Zepina. More the Rastafarians used to eat it. So there are a lot of food stuff here that maybe the people that go to school in food and nutrition should be using. The radio stations, particularly the government program, could be running article on it associated with food and nutrition on a regular basis to get people to use it. Now, if our children sit down in front of the television and their cell phone for more than 3 hours a day, don't expect them to eat yam pie. What they go want is macaroni pie and lasagna and etc. Because that is what they seen popping up on the television and the phone for more than 3 hours a day. And I've been speaking to a lot of young children around 5, 6, 7 years. And that is how I come up with the time they spend on the phone. But you don't have to believe me. Don't say nothing for 1 month and try timing your children on the phone. And you may well come to 2.5, 3 or 5 hours. We have to be practical. There's a war in Europe. Grenada don't have gas or oil. A significant percentage of the food stuff, more than 50%, are imported. Don't believe me. When you go in the supermarket next time, watch on the shelf and see how much of the goods on the shelf was made in Grenada. Watch and see how much goods on the shelf was made in Grenada. Well, the men going to say rum, because we like rum. But watch and see. So Grenada imports more than 50% of its foodstuff. And the government don't have no control over that. The government could always intercede now and then to help, but a lot have to do with our lifestyle. Right now, lettuce is scarce on the market. And lettuce is easy to grow, and it's 21 days. People are not going to eat yard fowl anymore because they say yard fowl is, how you call it in the Bible, they say the pig is unclean, so yard fowl unclean. But that is things you could grow home based upon where you're living without much economic cost, because you're buying so much of the food that you purchase to consume is going to waste. And when you throw it outside of you, though, it gives more rise to insects and rodents. So we need to change our lifestyle. A lot of our children, a significant percentage of the Grenadian children have secondary school education. But we're not very smart. We're not helping back our parents. This is harsh economic times. It's a reality. It's going to get worse based upon the present government policy. People who had jobs between 5 to 17 years working permanently in the parallel public service are losing their job. Panic setting in some areas. And because of the government policy of mischief of the social fabric of the society, it's going to get harder. So that is an opportunity for families to discuss the issue in their homes and see how we could use the income we have, manage the income better. It's important. And all people need help. The credit unions and the banks have failed us badly. They have not helped us. Most of the credit unions today, all they fight is to be like the banks. It is harder to open an account, to get a loan in the credit union. 60% of the businesses that start collapse within the first 5 years of operation. You don't have to believe me when I say these things. Ask any worker in the bank, any senior worker in the bank. If somebody just go in the bank, they may not know that. Ask any senior person in the credit union. Watch any politician in the eyes in Grenada and ask them if they blink in the line. Remember, I didn't say in Grenada. I said in England. 60% of the business that start collapse in the first 5 years. So these are challenges that is beyond the government. And then we have a government that are political virgins. They don't have the experience. So it may be a great challenge for them to act under pressure. They are already putting themselves under pressure. I have never seen that. The National Democratic Congress under Dick Mitchell is putting themselves under necessary pressure. And that is, let's speak about the debushing. Because of the economic importance of debushing, we had a downturn in the economy. So the tourist industry grind to a halt. Over 2,000 people lost their work in this tourist industry. The St. George's University, that contribute more than 20% of the GDP of this country, was down to a trickle. COVID-19 had immense restriction. Even farmers was prevented from going to the land. The entertainment industry grind to a halt. Funerals, you had to be limited in the amount of persons in funeral. When you have a funeral in Grenada, it also contributes to the income of some people. They bring their bar nearby. The dance industry, you bring your bar. People live by that. They're looking for no work. Some guys have their sack on their back selling cigarettes and BD and sometimes weed. So that's what they do. This is what you call the informal income. But because of COVID-19, this was serious consequences. Now, I believe, and a lot of reputable economists in the world will recommend, when these things happen, government come in and create jobs. Not permanent jobs, temporary jobs, with the hope that when things come back to normal, the people in these jobs will immediately gravitate to the functioning economy. This is not rocket science. This is simple ABC economics. So what did the government do? The government put more money in the bushing. So some of the people who would not necessarily look for a work on the road, going for a work now. Some of the people who lost their work in the St. George's University, going for a work now. Some of the people who followed from the tourist industry, going for a work now. Some of the people would have been making money and living based from dancehall to dancehall, looking for debushing. Some of the people who made money from the entertainment industry, looking for a job. Some of the people would have gone to the supermarkets to work. The supermarket changed their shift from 2 to 1, going to the bushing. So the bushing, the massive expansion of the bushing was meant to be temporary. Dr. Kit Mitchell. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day. Sometime last week during your deliberations, you promised that you would do something on Peter David. Are you still?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 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 I have to speak about Peter David.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, yes, caller. Thank you, caller. So it is important to understand that no individual in Grenada is expected to work in the bushing permanently, except you are physically challenged, you are an older person in the community. You know, you will always have this. But the bushing attracted because of the economic situation. Once the tourist industry come back and things come back to normal, one would expect fewer people to be in that program. But you must cut the bush by the road. You must cut the bush by the road. Now, in yesteryear, people used to graze cow by the road and graze sheep by the road and cut the grass by the road to feed the cow. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Well, this morning I heard with my own ears that people want to walk without, but I want to believe this is people. But what other people wanted to talk? People rushing for it, but they said right now people not rushing for it because everybody want to be supervisors. I don't know if you get that news.
I don't think that is true. Because if the government, from my observation, the people who are involved in the bushing, the government seriously cut down the time and they cut down the number of people, and it was very selective in choosing. I think it's only a stunt game because people claim that the people they choose on the road was yellow. So it's only a stunt. It is not true.
I call it not.
and I'm going to deal with them. I have no apathy because man
Caller,
to me and said, you will be paid in legal of notice. This one, the permanent secretary signed my letter.
caller, you expect that treat you so.
The minister of work signed my letter. And then they go say, just give me some days. I never work by days. I never work by days. I'm working by month. So this is illegal.
Caller.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Grenadians now, based upon what I'm hearing, that are losing their job. So perhaps what you could do is to find out, since you are involved in it, find out about the number of people in the area. Not names, but number. And if we can get a copy of the letters, then we can speak about it in more specific terms. It's always important when we're speaking about these things that we are absolutely certain. You know, we could make the general comment, but you're in a good position to find out what happened to the other people like you.
Yes.
Right? And in that way, we go able to deal with this issue from a more, with more accuracy. That when we speak, people hearing us, they know what we're saying is true. Yeah, caller?
Yes.
Yeah, that might be a better one. Thank you for calling. That is important.
I will find out there. Okay.
Yeah. So the question of debushing, this is a justification. Now, if the government decide to change the policy on debushing, nothing is wrong with that. When a government run election and they win, they're supposed to carry out the wishes of the majority. But it doesn't mean that in a democracy, the minority would not ask questions and would not constantly lobby the government with a view to influence them. That is why we have a free press. So I will ask, absolutely nothing is wrong if the government decide that people involved in the debushing program 2 or 3 times a year must work from 8 to 4. Nothing is wrong with that. Teachers working 8 to 4, supermarket people sometimes 8 to 9. But because of the nature of work, yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
While I'm with you in a lot of things that you have said from this morning, I think the caller before, not the one, I think I don't sure it was your first caller, but the caller spoke about the electricity.
You have to keep your voice up because sometimes we
spoke about the electricity. Caller spoke about the electricity and said that while the gas price is going down, we're seeing rising on the bill. I think you have a valid point, and I think something government supposed to be in a position to answer us a little bit now, because the prices is going down, the price of oil is going down, but your bill is still going up, and that's a serious thing. And I think some consideration should be given to that, because if the oil price is going down, and oil is the most expensive thing that they run the machines with, something else should be happening. It's not fair to us. I think somebody in some forces, some higher person should be able to give us some explanation.
Okay, caller, thank you. Yes, so if the government decide that they want to change the format of operating the debushing program, absolutely nothing is wrong with that. The government would have to provide toilet facilities. Because if normally the prime minister said, get up before board wife wake and go and do your work. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good day. Mr. Pierre, could I ask you a question?
Caller, go right ahead.
Mr. Pierre, could I ask a question?
Of course, that's why we're on the radio. We want you, we welcome your questions.
Mr. Pierre, do you support the invasion of America, Grenada, by the Americans?
I'm not hearing you.
Do you support the invasion of America?
You got to say that again.
Do you support the invasion of America?
If I support the invasion of the United States of Grenada?
Yes.
I welcome the intervention. I welcome the intervention. Paul Schoon was the governor general at that time. He was the head of the country. There was a total, there was...
Do you know that the American people coming here and they killed 32 of our brave men in this country? These people, they were defending this country. They give their blood and their sweat to this country. The American come and they killed 42 of them. And how the hell you could support that? How you could support this?
Caller, you want me to tell you why I support it?
Listen to me.
Caller, caller.
Yeah.
Remember, on this program, we give you an opportunity to speak and we give you an opportunity to rebut. But when you ask me a question, I will answer you. And you start the program by asking me if I support the invasion. And this need a qualifier.
Okay.
Right, so go ahead. Go ahead, caller. You're off. Now, normally people call and they want to ask questions. Now, if you ask a question, I'm going to answer you. Particularly if you ask a question, but it's not yes or no. Like, how many crate that you have? You say 40 or 50, it's different. These things are politically charged questions. Grenada had a revolution. Most people will tell you it's a coup d'etat. And it was not any dramatic or significant change. 3,000 people was arrested and put in jail. 3,000 to 4,000 flee the country. And the government then supervised over the worst crimes in Grenada after slavery and colonialism. They line up the head of the country and several ministers, including a pregnant woman, and shot them dead. And based upon information, those who was involved in the execution believe that Maurice Bishop would have done the same thing. And I have no reason to doubt them. Maurice Bishop ate with the Rasta men of this country. He drank with them. He smoked weed with them. He lied down on their straw mat. He promised them that he's going to make weed available, legalize it, or all they wanted that they could use weed for religious purpose without police hanging them. Maurice Bishop promised them that. When they realized that he was not going to keep his promise and he was going after them, they left concrete jungle. They beat the drum, chumbum, chumbum, Rasta, Babylon, fire, and they went up in the woods. Maurice Bishop went and round them up and put them in only what could be described as a cow pen and fed them with food that no Rasta didn't want to eat. Well, a lot of them break and eat it. But some of them prefer to take the fig and eat half-ripe fig rather than eat the meat and the rice and other things he gave them. This was wrong. You had execution on the fort and you had shoot on sight curfew. You have to not live in Grenada to understand the traumatic effect that was on Grenadians. When you see older people in the community crying and running and praying on their knees for the Americans to come. Paul Schoon was the head of state. Eugenia Charles, Tom Adams, Siaga, John Compton, James Mitchell, all of them was supportive of it. So even if the American glad and they had a nice excuse to come, these people legitimize the intervention. 3,000 Grenadians was in jail. So, caller, in your opinion, it might have been an invasion. But for me, it was a rescue mission and intervention. Yes, caller, welcome.
Pierre?
Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Great, man.
Right. I'm asking a genuine question, and I want a genuine, honest answer from you, please. Now, tell me something, right? Do you think, that you honestly think that what happened here in 1979, could I really, flourish, advance, right? And going from strength to strength, and America and other countries would have sit there idle and don't try to crush it? I mean, what Cuba, right? Take, for instance, Cuba, right? For Cuba fought a revolution in 1959, and for America passed alone, every man, woman, and child in Cuba could have starved to death, just because Cuba take a different path. And you want to tell me that America would have seen another Cuba develop in Grenada and don't do nothing about it? Don't try to crush it. So I just want to answer from you, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. My brother, the United States of America have interfered and invaded a number of countries because they was against communist countries. Russia and them do the same thing. China and them the same attitude. The problem we have in Grenada is that they had a revolutionary experiment, a coup d'etat, that it deteriorated. And it reached a stage where the majority of Grenadians, whether you came from the privilegencia, whether you came from the proletariat, once the people was involved, felt that it was against the revolution, you were considered a counter, a CIA agent. And Maurice Bishop said, he'll put you under heavy manners. Caller, even the church at that time and the leader of the Catholic Church, immense pressure was placed on the hierarchy of the church, the priests and them, to intervene and do something. And when they asked for an appointment for a meeting with Maurice Bishop, let me give you an example. If Maurice Bishop tells Sidney Charles, the meeting is 2 o'clock, and Sidney Charles mean 1:30, when 5:30, Sidney Charles will be still waiting for Bishop. And then Bishop cancel the meeting. That was the situation then. Dr. Japal, when he was arrested, and Dr. Japal was a voice, the first individual against Gary. But Gary Wright liked Dr. Japal because he did not, his profession as a medical doctor was not contaminated with the politics. I know some Grenadians are affected because they were the ones who executed Maurice Bishop. But Maurice Bishop was no saint. He was a common criminal. And we welcome the American intervention. Now go back to Cuba. Cuba and the Americans, and as far as I'm concerned, are technically at war. For over 60 years, Cuba socialism experiment is seriously affected by the American economic blockade. And I hear a number of people calling, release the blockade. But I don't ask them why the blockade is there. Cuba do not have democracy. Cuba do not have freedom of the press. The same people that using our freedom of the press here. Cuba has helped Grenada immensely, and Grenada must be internally grateful for the assistance of Cuba and Venezuela. But Cuba have to apologize to their people for the sacrifice that people make for Cuba to export socialism. But my brother, Just go in Cuba and you will see. Ask yourself, why all the Grenadians that train in Cuba fighting to go in America? Ask yourself that. And anytime you have an opportunity to talk to any Grenadian that studied in Cuba, and we have a couple hundred, ask them why they don't want to go back in Cuba and leave. Why they want the children go in Uncle Sam country in America. Because United States of America have freedom, more freedom than any socialist country. And you could make a decision. Your individuality is not suppressed. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Pierre. The same America you talk about, all of them after October 19th, after October 25th, the bulk of them went to North America. They went to the United States of America. And now they do nothing for Grenada. Now you hear they calling an all program and saying all sorts. That's why I have a problem with North America, with the diaspora. I have a problem with them. They do nothing for the country, but they want to come now after they go and spend 39 years doing nothing. They want to come now and tell you how to run country. We have to get rid of them. I hear a lot of them and know them by the name and by the number. And if they continue with some of the speeches they want to give, I'm going to send you a list of the names because I know them very well. Good.
You see, brother, Grenada is a small country. We have about 100,000 people. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome.
Yes, sir.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, I want to change the topic a little bit.
Go right ahead, man.
As you say from the beginning of any topic.
Any topic, you could call and tell us about the moon, man.
I don't want you to take it too much and comment much on it. I don't want you to go much.
Go right ahead, caller.
But yesterday, yesterday was the 24th. I don't like certain things that were said on this radio station. I understand, the discourse of the ruling party and their, strange policies, which worthwhile talking against. But your host yesterday, I don't find I like it much when he attacked Christianity. And there was a caller who was very critical concerning Christianity, and I don't like when Mr. Carl backed him up. To me, it was an attack on Christianity, and I don't want it to go further. I don't want to make no big issue about it. But to me, the word Christianity, as they said, it is found 3 times. Twice in the book of Acts, once in the book of Peter. To me, they don't believe in Christianity. The word Christ is found in each New Testament book. At the very first verse in each of our New Testament book, Christ, the word Christ is found there. Look it up. So, to me, Christianity is out of, the reach of a lot of, not a lot, but one religion in Grenada. They just do, everything concerning Christianity is Rome do it, Rome did that, Rome right against it. They're not reading. Each book in the New Testament is once, in the very first verse, word Christ, which Christianity come from the word Christ. Now, if you go in Israel, in Judaism religion, not one of their Bible have the New Testament attached to it. Their religion end at Moses. They just don't believe in Christianity. And for we in Grenada here to be attacking Christianity on that radio station yesterday, I don't think it is too good. Going on with our brother, which I have much confidence in, Mr. Carl. I didn't like that. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, so it's very important for us to understand that if the government decide to change the format of the distribution program, nothing is wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. The government win the election, and they're going to have to implement the wishes of the majority. They have to respect the minority, but the other people have a right to express their views. So the government would have to provide toilets for the bushers. Because if the people come out on the road between 8 and 4, that means lunchtime, they don't take the lunch. And when people take the lunch, they just want to go and do number 1 and number 2. I saw advertisement from Barbados. Who is number 1 in the number 2 business? I always remember that. So the government have to provide toilet facilities for the people to do number 1 and number 2. Remember, it's not in the bush that they walk in. It's not in the estate that they are given privacy, natural vegetative privacy. It's by the roadside they walk in. And if the government want them to stay on the road from 8 to 12, then the government have to provide toilet facilities. That is why I asked the question, what is the economic importance of doing such a thing? And what is the political benefit? Is it just a question of social mischief? Because now government might have to have companies, and that might be a spin-off economically. Because if you have debushing all over the island one time for 2 or 3 weeks, you have to have some companies that provide adequate toilet, at least 1 toilet for each gang. And that toilet have to be removed when evening time comes. You can't leave the toilet by the road because people might vandalize the toilet. So government have to provide a toilet facility. So what is the significance of it? Just because you want them stay on the road 8 to 4. Now the people have to understand, this group of people, I think it's about 7 of them, that's involved in a gang. They are provided with a specific quantum, a specific quantity of work. Individuals will measure work by the roadside and determine that they start from point A to point B. And they would measure the work for 6 people. So it is not a question about the individual get a task. A group get a quantum of work. And they have a contractor. You may have people in a group that might work much more than one another. But that is not important because it's a group work that comes. They are given 10 days to do the work. But if you do not have inclement weather and rain excessively, they would do it before 10 days. I have known instances when they were not able to accomplish the work before 10 days and they had to spend the next day to do it. Now, some people on the road would have weed eaters and some would have cutlass. And I understand that the government don't care whether you are a weed eater or cutlass. There's sometimes you see a girl on the road and I say, well, they just hatch her onto the gang because she looked pregnant. So a gang may have 3 men and 4 women. If the government felt that it was not getting dollar value, all they had to do was to extend the measurement of work. I don't know how much. But let's suppose they're giving them 800 feet. They could have bring it to 9. But the question is not the quantity of work. It is not the value of the work. It seems that the National Democratic Congress is disturbed with the time the people spending on the job. They go on and work 5 to 6 and they finish in 9 to 10 or whatever. They find these people going home too early. No, it's a interesting point in the philosophy of the National Democratic Congress. Particularly when you have individuals with a briefcase or certificate and involving economics. Now, if you provide, in the yesteryear, we had days work and we had job and tasks. So if you wanted people to cut class, you would give them a 7 square. A woman had a 7 square and a man had a 8 square or 8 by 9. And if the person who measuring the task didn't like you, if you're more rude, and he wasn't following to check the rod, he might have added an extra rod. There was an instance in Spring Estate where one individual was responsible for blowing the shell. So he blows the shell at 8 o'clock. And he blows the shell again to give them break at 10. So they had to get 15 minutes break. And he blows the shell again at 12. And blow it back at 1. And blow the shell at 4. But the workers claim that he used to blow the shell 10 to it. And he cut out piece instead of having 15 minutes for break, recess, he would give them 10. And instead of giving them an hour for lunch, he give them 40 minutes. And then he blow in the shell 10 past 4. Now he would argue with them, I am the time master. I am keeping the clock. But the workers used to keep the clock based upon the donkey when he breathed. And based upon the shadow. And some of them would tell you other things about animals that help them to know the time. So what did they do? They put pogate in the shell. So they had to get an next shell because they pogate the shell. And he got sick. So now the government decides we're going to change the format of work. These people too damn idle. They go in early morning and do the work quick. The sun is burning them. So we're going to put them to work 8 to 4. And that is why this is the reason sometimes I refer to them as political virgins. They don't understand that between 8 to 4, you will have more vehicles on the road than between 5 to 9. Secondly, if the people come out early before bird wife wake, they don't necessarily need toilet facilities. But once they work in 8 to 4, you must have toilet facilities. The government does not understand these things. Now, why they don't understand that? A lot of our intelligentsia in Grenada, they abscond the community. So they don't deal with the ordinary man again. Let me give you an example. A youth leaves school at the age of 10, primary school, 10, 12, and going secondary school, did well, going national college, did well, going university. And he from Ticolo, and then he get a big job. So he hardly knows the community. He never sit down and exchange ideas with his parents. So he don't know his bigger sister used to go and help his mother work in the land. He don't know. Some of the people of yesteryear, their history was so sad that they don't tell their children. You will only hear them say, I don't want my children to see trouble as I do. I don't want my children to walk the way I do. That was a way of expressing that I can't tell my children my history. So the woman have 9 children, but you have more than 9 fathers name calling. And some children angry with their mother because the father the mother give them, later on they say it's not the father. They don't know the circumstances. You see, when Addington Wood was arrested and given 3 months jail for dry wood, from prison, Addington would jump the boat and go in Trinidad. You see, he was a good cricketer in the community. So he couldn't take the shame of going in jail. So he left Tilita pregnant. And when Tilita makes a child, and the child was 2 weeks old, they charge her for tiffin blogger. She said the watchman help her. Then he remind her he want to pay. And she tell him, well, my child had 2 weeks. I can't pay you now. But the watchman been joking. So he get 2 planners instead. She changed direction. And she had to walk down with the blogger about half a mile away and go in the estate. The magistrate give her 3 months. So whereas Tilita's first children know that, the last set of children don't know Tilita history. And Tilita more do bless. But she know the community is ready to tear down. So her defense mechanism is to ready to attack the community verbally. So she daughter that get tertiary education, that living in St. George's now, she don't know Tilita history. And I think it's the same infection that the Minister of Communication and Works have. He don't understand that if you're working 8 to 4 on the road, you must have toilets. You can't blame him. What he needs is a little political education if he wants to go in politics. What he needed was to get himself embedded in the community that he formed, to join the groups in the community and the organization. And that would not have made him a virgin in politics. So it's important, but nothing is wrong with debushing 12 to 4. I know the government will bring toilets. The government is going to bring mobile toilets. And people will be provided adequately with mobile toilets by the road, so that when they want to do number 1 and number 2, they could do it so the dignity could be preserved. And they make sure some of the toilets are good size. Because we have some women, those that baby killer like to raise, let us always get work on the road. And we want to thank you for being with us today. Remember, we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1. And we have opportunity to punch. And yes, scholar, any day, I'll start talking about Peter David. Thank you very much.
Our ethnicities, the bonds that unite us are stronger than these. We dine, we pray, we love, we dance and we play, we relate to each other, the West Indian way. Today as a people united as one, determined and steadfast we stand. We look to a brand new horizon, the future now firmly in